Timo, are the needles on the knitting machine, and for the casting on, all you need to do is bring the needles right forward. I'm going to do just a little bit, and take the carriage from the right to the left, and that brings all the latches on the needles upwards so you can easily get the yarn in. And the carriage stays on my right because I'm right-handed, and the switch dial is set to about tension 8, which with this yarn that we're using today makes my jumper that sort of tension. And then all you do, very simple, is get the yarn that's tied onto the clamp and do a cast on, which we call an EWAP cast on, and you just simply take the yarn over the needle from right to left like you're writing a letter E, and push the needle back a bit so that the tension's loose. You want to keep it really, really loose at the casting on and casting off, so that you don't get all tight edges and it all gathers up. So just take that across.
Is that quite easy to do that bit?
It's really simple, but it's really important that you get it right. So it's worth practicing a lot, because once you've got that right, then you can go away and make anything.
I was just going to ask you, can you start anywhere on the bed, or do you have to start in the middle roughly?
You can start wherever you like. For just this sample pattern, we're starting here, but for the patterns, they're generally, the centre is at 0, and so then it spreads out from either side.
I see.
And then you take the yarn and put it in the carriage and switch that across so it doesn't come out. And for the cast on, we're going to be using the nylon cord, which is on the brush. And you take it over, you can do about 10 needles, even more, and hold it with your other hand. And it's just making sure that all the stitches get pulled down.
I see.
Like that. And then we bring those needles forward. Back into the knit position. And we can set our row counter at 0 at this point, so you know how many rows you're doing. And then just take it across, and that is your first row of knitting. And you can let go of the nylon cord, but still keep it in at this point.
And so you have a counter as well?
Yeah, so you count all the rows that you do. And just take it across, making sure that all the stitches are taken.
Is that quite an important part, having the counter set before you begin?
It is, yeah. Well, for making just a sample, it doesn't really matter. But once you start with the patterns, it's really important, because that defines the width or the shape of it.
I see.
And so once you've done a few rows, do about 3 or 4, just bringing them forward into knit position. Then you can pull the nylon cord out and get rid of that. And you can see you've got rows of knitting.
Oh yes.
At which point you want the weights, because you still want to keep pulling the stitches down.
How do they attach?
You've got little hooks on them.
Oh, I see.
So you can just put them into the knitting like that. And they'll claw in anywhere. And you can unattach that at this point, because it doesn't need to be tied on.
Oh, right.
And then just take the carriage across all the stitches, and that is your cast on and knitting.
That's so easy.
It is easy.
It's really growing, isn't it?
It grows really quickly, Timo.
How many rows have you done?
That is 34 rows, and it's already got big like that.
Could you do another few? Can we bring it to 40?
Let's bring it to 40. There we go. And now we can cast that off. And you want to take the weights up and put them closer to the stitches. And get the yarn And Annie told me that it's really important to keep this yarn loose so that, again, like the casting on, you don't have tight edges.
Okay.
And you put it around the table or in that little clip there. I put it in my mouth, but if I put it in my mouth I can't talk to you, so I'll leave it there.
Fair enough.
And then we take the transfer tool, and with the transfer tool put it over the end needle. The carriage is on my left, so the yarn comes out on my left. And take the stitch and just transfer it onto the next one. And get the yarn and wrap it around, like you were doing the E-wrap at the beginning for casting on.
I see.
And pull that through, so you're effectively putting 2 stitches onto one. That. Pull the needle back.
And do you do that with every row?
You do that with every stitch and at the end of every garment or at the end of everything you make. So again, it's really important that you can get that right and that it's not too tight. Because whatever you put onto the needles you need to take off, and if you just pull it off the machine then it won't stay together, you'll have frayed edges everywhere. And the weights are actually pulling the knitting down so that it stays loose.
You do that quite quickly.
Through practice, lots and lots of practice.
Was it quite slow at first?
Yeah, and I got in a real mess at first, and yarn was all over the place, but after you practice it a few times, then it becomes loads easier.
Yes, I guess it's like anything, isn't it? Practice makes perfect. But the important thing is it's not really complicated, it seems quite straightforward.
It's really straightforward. Once you've got it, then you can start making anything. I mean this, through casting on and casting off, you could just stop there and make lots and lots of scarves for the rest of your days. But otherwise, you can start doing more patterns, and I think we will be giving more patterns for just simple rectangular shapes. So with casting on and casting off, you can still make things. And there we have our cast on, cast off knitting.
Okay, so we've created this very small shape using 40 stitches, 40 rows. It doesn't resemble any advanced garments yet.
No, not yet, but it's got the most important bits that you need to learn, which is casting on and casting off. So practice them, and then in step 2 we'll go on to increasing and decreasing.
Fantastic. Excellent. So we look forward to it. I just wanted to also say at this stage, just before we finish this video tutorial, that's really important, of paramount importance, is, I believe, getting the tensions right and setting the machine up correctly with the yarn threaded through. Thank you.